Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Medicom Toys MAFEX number 185 Marvel, The Amazing Spider-Man classic comic version. I will be doing a comparison with the Ben Reilly Spider-Man by MAFEX and the Symbiote Black Costume Spider-Man by MAFEX. I do not have the first MAFEX Spider-Man that had like the metallic blue. I sold that off when this one was announced because I didn't need that one anymore with this one coming, so I'm really happy to have it and excited. It arrived super fast because with DHL they basically do some time travel shenanigans and arrives super quick. Now this box, if you notice, is much skinnier or more narrow than the previous MAFEX boxes, but as you can see, it is a little bit thicker. Not a lot, but definitely a little bit thicker, so they kind of put the accessories in different places and things like that. But I like the smaller box because then it'll kind of take up a little less space and everything like that. So I'm really excited. So taking a look at the box, there we go, a bunch of different poses. I just now realizing he doesn't come with a Peter Parker head. And yeah, I have, you know, the Peter Parker head from here, but he's got the symbiote goo. And then I have the Ben Reilly head here, but that's a blonde Peter Parker. So I guess that's the downfall of getting this one as opposed to the having that the older version with the metallic blue. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but let's face it, I was never going to display it with a Peter Parker head anyway. So there it is. So let's go ahead and get these pieces out of the package and we'll take a look at the different accessories that he comes with. Okay, so looking at the accessories, so we do get a Medicom MAFEX stand, and we have a few different web line pieces here. We have this web with the kind of expounds out at the end. We have the two shorter webs, the two longer webs, and then here we have the web that you would use with this holding hand, so you would actually place that in the grip hand there. So we have those different webs. Nothing really new. We've seen those all before. Then looking at Spider-Man, you can see we have an additional head sculpt there. I'm trying to look at what the difference between the two is. The eyes aren't as big on this one here, so they're definitely bigger on the one that actually comes in the package. He has the magnetic feet, as you can see there, and then in the package he has fists, we have wall crawling hands, we have open relaxed hands, we have flip hands, we have the web holding hands, and then looks like another, oh, those are the magnetic wall crawling hands, and then we have the Spider-Man figure itself. So let's go ahead and take them out of the plastic. Okay, just to show you guys the magnetic feet, as you can see here, it does hold its own weight, but you got to be careful, like certain angles it's not really going to work out. As you can see, it's just going to fall off, but the magnets are strong enough to hold it, you know, in place. Make sure you get a nice clean connection to whatever metal that you're using. Again, he does hold his own weight there. Okay, and the magnetic hands will also hold its weight, but not nearly as strong. As you can see, just the slightest movement will knock him off. Okay, so here is the Spider-Man figure out of the package, and here's the thing. I'm not the greatest when it comes to posing action figures and things like that. So with these import figures, that's kind of the big highlight of them. So I know it sounds weird, like, well, why the hell do I get it? I just love Spider-Man. I love action figures. So here's an action figure of Spider-Man, so it kind of makes sense for me to have it. It's an awesome representation of Spider-Man, so that's kind of why I have it, you know, in my collection. I like to have different, you know, Spider-Man figures. I can never get enough. I know there's so many releasing all the damn time, but you know what? I love it, and I'm going to continue to get more. I kind of wish that I had gotten the Miles Morales MAFEX figure at this point, so that kind of sucks that I don't. But here we have the some other Spider-Man figures that I think look great, and I have this love-hate relationship with MAFEX. So it's kind of weird. I think they're overpriced for what they are. I think I paid like 80 bucks or whatever for this figure shipped. And, you know, for 80 bucks, there should be no paint issues on figures and things like that. And then the figures shouldn't really fall apart, but they do quite a bit. Like my Symbiote Spider-Man figure, when I was kind of messing around with it, like an arm popped off, shoulder popped off, a leg popped off, his head popped off. Like all these pieces just started popping off. They pop back in, sure, but it kind of sucks. My Infinity War Iron Spider one, the arm popped off and it took me like a week to pop it back on. It was just crazy. So I'm not the biggest MAFEX fan, but I do recognize the fact that they probably make the absolute best Spider-Man figure in terms of articulation and design and all of that. And this figure really is no different, because I love the classic bright blue and bright red with the classic logo there in the front on his chest and then on the back. That this figure is really everything that I really want it to be. And it's kind of funny because if you watch my last video, I had talked about that same exact thing in the Marvel Legends and His Amazing Friends 3-pack Spider-Man. But you can see it's still a very, very different blue. Now, I would love to get a figure of this shade of blue in red onto a Marvel Legends, and I'm sure one day we will get that, because we will always get more and more Marvel Legends figures. So I can't wait for that day to come. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at the Spider-Man figure so you can see the details and things like that. We'll go over the articulation. I'll kind of do a little bit of a run through with some of the accessories, not a whole lot. But just so you can get a feel of specifically the figure and kind of what its capabilities are. So let's get in for that closer look. Okay, so here is the Spider-Man figure, and you know what? It's beautiful. A couple of minor gripes, and it's just real nitpicky. You can see we have a very flat chest, flat color red for his chest, but then the shoulders, it gets to be a little bit more of a brighter red color. And then the other thing to me is the design of the arms, so the sleeve. So the red and how it kind of comes through. Shouldn't it be a little bit more towards the thing? So it seems kind of weird. So it's more, it seems like the red web pattern is going more towards like the back of the arm and not so much like half on the arms. Like with the Marvel Legends, you see, you know, you got the red web pattern on the outsides and then the insides are blue. That isn't exactly the way it's designed on the figure. I feel like they miss, like if you line up the red, that arm just like is curved in. It just seems a little bit odd to me. So that is going to be one of my biggest gripes on the design of it. But in terms of like the web pattern, the red color, the blue color, it just looks fantastic and just screams, you know, classic Spider-Man there. And then I don't really have any paint issues on mine. There's, you know, kind of the way they have to do the web lines, you know, just painting black. Some of it is going to kind of, you know, spread out a little bit and look a little sloppy. It's not terrible or anything. I do get a little speck of blue coming through there. It's not really an issue there. Yeah, I don't really have any big paint issues. I know with Symbiote Spider-Man, some people did have some big time issues with that. Luckily, mine came out pretty good, and I didn't have any worries there. The web pattern on the legs and the feet doesn't look so bad. Looks like they just, a little blue got onto the leg there. Not that big of a deal. All pretty minor, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. So there is that head. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other head sculpt that he comes with, and you can see that the eyes just aren't as big. You see more of the black outline of the lens and then a little bit less of the white. So we're going to go ahead and pop this head off. It is on the tiniest of ball pegs, and we're just going to pop that head on, and then bam. There. You guys let me know what you think, which head sculpt looks better. I think the wider lens, or the wider eye that came on the figure out of package is definitely the better one, but this is still a good one as well. Actually, damn, and now that I look at it, look at that. The web pattern on his head, that kind of sucks there. I mean, it kind of doesn't show through there, and it looks a little heavy on some parts. That kind of sucks. This is back to the original head sculpt, so that's kind of terrible. But let's go ahead and zoom out for his articulation. Okay, so MAFEX figures are super articulated. So the head is on a ball joint, so you can actually get the head to look up, and then that neck is a separate piece as well. So using both of those, he can look up that much, which is great to get you into certain poses looking down with the neck and the ball peg on the head sculpt working together. You get that much movement going down. You do get some crazy pivot going on in there. You can rotate the head any way you want as well. The arm, you can go up and out, which is kind of crazy, but he can T-pose real nice. You get a full rotation on that shoulder ball. There is a butterfly joint, so you can go back a little bit. That butterfly joint coming forward for the crossbody works out really well when it comes to certain type of poses and things like that. There is an upper bicep swivel in there, as you can see. Double jointed elbow gives you that much bend at the elbow, which is really nice. Wrists are on a ball joint, so you can hinge them kind of whichever way you feel you need to, which is good. You just need to be very careful when swapping out the hands because it is a small peg. So be very careful. We have the diaphragm cut on him, so he can pivot to his left. With just the diaphragm cut, he can pivot that much. To his right, he can tilt that much, which is good. Going back is a fair amount, as you can see. Coming forward is a little bit, but the waist is on a ball joint. So not only do you get a swivel at that diaphragm, but you can get a swivel on that waist as well. But when you work both of them together at the same time, that's how much tilt you can get to the left side. That's how much tilt you can get to the right side. And then going back, he can go back that much. And then coming forward, he can come that much as well there. And then with the hips, that's where you're going to get a good portion, coming forward. So there, he does have drop down hits. So as you can see, I moved that left leg down. So then with that, you can kick up really high, and everything like that. So with them both there, you can do the full splits. You get some swivel at that thigh. Not a whole lot, but there's enough in there to get certain poses. Solid double jointed knee, like so there. One thing that I don't like on the MAFEX, and it's going to vary on figures. Like if you look between the two knees, you see how this one has a larger gap than this side. The same with my Symbiote Spider-Man. It has a much larger gap on this one. That's much more noticeable than the left. It's just kind of one of those weird things with MAFEX figures. I don't know why. But it is the way it is, I guess. The ankles are on a ball joint that I don't really care for, but you can get some amazing pivot going on in there, and you can swap out the feet so they do come off semi-easily, but you can hinge the foot down, hinge it up. You do have toe articulation there as well. So again, it's going to be the most, or in some of the best points of articulation for a Spider-Man figure, but it's a matter of working them into certain poses. I'm going to try a couple of them, and keep in mind, this is going to take me a lot of work to try and really get right and look right, but he can get into some awesome poses. So let's check out what I'm able to put together for you guys. Okay, so here's one Spider-Man pose that I was able to do. I think it's okay. I think here's another semi-decent one that I can pull off. I know people, can definitely do better. Let's shoot for another one. Okay, here's one. I was kind of playing around. I don't know that it's the best. But one thing that's tricky with these web lines here that go around the wrist peg, to kind of move, you have to keep it tight on there to keep it kind of in position. Otherwise, it gets loose and then wants to kind of move around. So you just want to kind of be careful with that. So that's kind of it for the poses that I can do. I know a lot of other folks could do a lot better than I can, but this just goes to show that he is the most articulated and could probably get into some of the most poses. But the Marvel Legends, holds up fairly nicely as well. So let's see how this guy looks next to some Marvel Legends. Okay, so here we have the MAFEX Spider-Man next to some of the most popular and best Marvel Legends Spider-Mans. The Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends 3-pack version, which is, of course, the same as the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man, so I didn't include that here, just to kind of keep the whole red and blue aspect here. I love the colors of this one and would love to get a Marvel Legends figure with these colors. I think the Vintage Wave 1 probably was the most similar to this color scheme that we've gotten, but I'm sure it's just a matter of time before Hasbro gives us one with with the light blue and the red, and I would love to get it in a Marvel Legends form. But the MAFEX version does hit all the spots. Again, it's a pricey figure, $80 shipped. That's when you get it from like an import site like AmiAmi, like I did, or if you even go with like Hobby Link Japan, after you pay for like DHL shipping or EMS, which I think is more expensive and takes longer. It's about $80. If you order through like Big Bad Toy Store, they're gonna upcharge because they have to import it in. Of course, so naturally it's going to cost more there. But I think it is definitely a good buy. If you're looking for a highly articulated Spider-Man figure, this is definitely the one to get. But you could be just as happy with the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, or the 3-pack version, or the Amazing Fantasy version, or the cel-shaded version, animated series version that's exclusive to Walmart if you're able to get a hold of that. Lots of great Spider-Man figures, and you really can't go wrong with anyone that you get. But in terms of what you're going to do with it, you know, that might make the difference. If you're looking for posability, so you could do photography and things like that, this is probably the one that you're going to want to go with. But if you're looking just standard display in your collection, Marvel Legends is probably going to be fine. I take it a step further and go with the MAFEX in addition to Marvel Legends, because Spider-Man's my favorite character, and they are really good figures, even though I have a love-hate relationship with MAFEX. I hate that sometimes the parts fall apart. Like, I did pop the arm off the shoulder. It pops right back in, not a big deal, but it did come off. So there's just kind of those gripes, but I can't deny that they are fantastic figures, and they do look really good. So there's that. But you guys let me know down in the comments below your thoughts. Are you getting this MAFEX Spidey, or did you get it? Did you get Webman? I'm kind of low-key regretting not picking up Webman. I'm sure he's probably still available. I don't really know. But, you know, I was thinking, oh, you know, I could pass on him because he's not really Spider-Man, right? He's the villain and stuff. So we'll see. But I have, you know, the MAFEX Spider-Man figures. I'm trying to think what other else is there. The Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly with the red and blue sweater version. That's going to be coming out next year. But definitely some good figures. So you guys let me know down in the comments below what you think of it. If you guys are interested in joining the MCU Collective and becoming a channel member, hit that join button. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.